We got the person who never tells us no in charge. It's going to be a glorious day.
We're done in 10 minutes.
Bridget doesn't know the word no.
10 minutes? No? Okay, good.
We got Mr. Smiley at one end and the girl who can't say no on the other.
Hey, how are you?
This is going to be an episode of the Board Gone Wild.
Dear God, did I just hear that?
Close your ears, John.
Wow.
All right, we're going to start. There's no one here to stop us.
You know I'm the innocent child, so.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We ask for the courtesy of the board members, staff, and members of the public that you please silence your cell phones. Good morning and welcome to Orange County School Board's work session, which has been scheduled today, Tuesday, March 31st, 2026, for the purpose of discussing charter application for Orange Center STEAM Academy, policy FEA, educational adequacy and construction specifications for new and renovated facilities, rezoning for spring 2026. It's a targeted rezoning of Wolf Lake Middle to Kelly Park K-8, Zellwood Elementary to Wolf Lake Elementary, and Orange Center Charter. The public will not have an opportunity to participate in this work session to provide public comment because this is not a regularly scheduled school board meeting. No action will be taken and there will be no open public comment period in which the public normally addresses the school board on relevant topics that are related to the work of the school board. Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon, because earlier I said good morning because that's what was in the script, but I meant good afternoon. Okay, let's do a roll call because we have a few at the dais this afternoon and then a few that are calling in. So members Front, Douglas, Vanos, and Felder are present. Vice Chair Salamanca is joining telephonically. Member Salamanca? Not yet. Okay, she'll be joining us shortly. Chair Jacobs? Chair Jacobs will be joining us. She's not joining us at all? Okay, she will not be joining us today. Member Byrd?
Yes, hello.
Hello, Member Byrd. So Member Byrd is on the phone with us. As a reminder, board members will not be engaging in outside electronic or digital communication during the meeting so we can focus on the matters immediately before us. To my fellow board members and district staff, when speaking, please make sure your microphone is turned on and speak directly into it so our YouTube and Orange TV viewers can hear you clearly. Again, thank you so much for participating in or attending today's meeting. Now we are going to do a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Now for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The one with the mic controls the pledge. Just saying. All right. Yes. Member Salamanca, are you with us?
I am.
Welcome. All right, now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Williams. Dr. Williams.
Good afternoon. Board members, we have just one charter application this afternoon, and I believe we are all familiar with Mark Shamley, the Vice President of Community Impact for Lift Orlando. We also have Aaron that is with us this afternoon. And at this point, I will turn it over to Greg Moody and Dr. Scott.
Thank you, Deputy Superintendent, board members. Welcome. Thank you for having us. Many years ago, this board has set into policy, into practice that coming before you will be charter applicants, giving you an opportunity to ask questions and for the charter applicant to provide more information of their proposed charter school. So Dr. Kia Scott will walk us through this process, and then she'll turn it over to you for additional questions and or comments. Dr. Scott.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Gallo, school board members, and deputy superintendents. Today we're meeting with the application team for Orange Center Elementary Charter School. The Orange Center Elementary Charter School application was submitted following a parent vote to convert Orange Center Elementary School to a charter school. The vote was ratified on January 22nd, 2026. The application team will share a PowerPoint presentation that will provide an overview of the school. After, the school choice staff will ask some clarifying questions pertaining to the application. Finally, you will have the opportunity to ask any questions you may have of the application team. Presenting today are Mark Shamley, board member for NSI, and Aaron Albert, the current/future principal of the charter school. Okay, you ready?
All right, awesome. Should we get started?
You may.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, school board members. Thank you for the opportunity to allow us to share our vision for this unique and incredibly exciting opportunity and collaboration. I want to also acknowledge the Deputy Superintendent, Dr. Williams, Mr. Palmerini as well. Again, my name is Mark Shamley, and I am thrilled to be here with Principal Aaron Albert in this partnership. I would like to acknowledge that one of the NSI board members, our board chair, Scott Boyd, unfortunately is dealing with a personal family matter with his mother-in-law. So he sends his support of this process, but he is not with us today. But we do have our other board member, Allison Kirby, who is with us. So I'm going to turn it over to Erin to see if she has some opening remarks.
I just want to take a moment to thank all of you for this opportunity, and we are very excited to move forward and present this project, not only for NSI and Lift Orlando and OCPS, but for the students of 32805. So thank you.
So we wanted to address the question of why this matters, and I'm always reflective on this question of why. Why go through this process to enter into this conversion and to this collaboration? The why for me personally is that I believe that every child should have an opportunity to have access to high-performing schools, regardless of the community or zip code that they live in. And so our goal and my why is to ensure that that happens within the community of West Lakes. So that's my why.
For me, this is bigger than just a school model. This is building legacy for our students and families in 32805, but also the students that are sometimes underrepresented. And we get to be that representation for them and build a school model that works specifically for them.
So how do we get here? So this has been a bit of a journey. I will say this conversation started officially pursuing this formalized partnership. But I would also say the relationship between Lift Orlando and Orange Center and OCPS goes back a decade. All right, so it's been some time, but it really became this opportunity for us to explore what a flagship school could look like in collaboration, where you have a place-based organization coming alongside a district to do something that's really unique and innovative. And it was at a meeting in Boston where a bunch of really interested and committed partners got together and said, what if we can do something that's never been done before? So it was from that discussion we decided to, okay, let's pursue this and discuss ways in which we can implement. And so that was that exploration and alignment phase. But we knew that we couldn't sit in a conference room as leaders and figure this out without engagement with the community and other key stakeholders. That was important that we had residents, we had parents, we had key members of our community all around the table and committed to have a transparent process for learning and shaping a vision of this partnership with the community and this school. And so that community engagement involved probably close to a dozen or so large engagements, small engagements with HOA leaders, and education forums where we gathered feedback. That led to the parent vote, which was successful back in January. And then here we are with the application being submitted and here with you today to answer questions about that application. So that is the journey we have been on together. So as I mentioned, the parent vote, in my opinion, felt like a mandate with 184 parents voting in favor of the conversion. And what we were really clear about that this was a public-private partnership, right? This was a collaboration between the district and with Lift Orlando to do this work together. And that was a clear intention and message that we wanted to emphasize. It wasn't a takeover. It wasn't us coming in and dominating or doing anything like that. The goal was to say to the community, we are going to do this together. And we wanted to make sure that that was reflected not only in our words, but also in our actions. And I think this vote is reflective of how the community responded to that mandate.
So once the parent vote happened, and I want to recognize some of our parents and staff members that are in the room today to support, the work really started. Post-vote, we really started to look at the mission and the vision. And our mission is to deliver an exceptional STEAM education through strong partnerships, because as everyone knows in this room, schools can't do it alone. Our partnerships with Lift Orlando allows us to bring resources and opportunities as well as support systems that we can't do in a traditional school. Our vision stated here is clear: our community-centered school where students become confident leaders, problem solvers, and innovators. This is creating a school that reflects strength, resilience, and the potential of our community. We have so much and oftentimes untapped potential in our community. This is probably my favorite slide. It really shows just a small amount of who we serve. We serve a community with significant need, whether it's the 95% economically disadvantaged or 95% minority students. We also support a population of ELL and ESE students who deserve equitable access to high-quality instruction. Our model is designed specifically for these students and families we currently serve, not to replace them, but to serve them better. We are prioritizing families within our existing community, the Lift Orlando footprint, and 32805. I truly believe that our zip code should not define our future. This is something that was extremely important in the planning process. As someone who comes from a K-8 background and worked there as an administrator, we needed rollout to be strong, and we needed it to be thoughtful, strategic, and responsible. Our rollout is intentional, phased to ensure that we build quality before scale. In year one, serving 456 students and building what is already off of a strong foundation. By year three, we expand to 6th and 7th while maintaining program fidelity throughout the building. And by year 5, we will reach full capacity at 764 students serving K-8. This gradual growth allows us to invest deeply in staff development, systems, structures, and culture, ensuring that we do this right and not fast. Our educational approach is rooted in STEAM-focused learning, ensuring students are not just consumers of knowledge, but creators, problem solvers, and innovators. Our focus is project-based learning. Students will engage in real-world challenges that build critical thinking and making learning meaningful. Something that's super important to myself and the staff in Orange Center Elementary is that we're not just preparing students for the next grade, but that we're preparing them for life. We are deeply committed to the whole child approach, academic growth alongside social emotional growth, because as we all know, this is necessary for long-term success. And I think what's super important is to mention that we are intentionally building leadership in our students, confidence, responsibility, and the ability to navigate the world beyond just school. Now we talk about where we're meeting students where they currently are, because we know there's lots of room for improvement in the current Orange Center. Our work really starts with the belief that every child deserves instruction that meets them exactly where they are and accelerates them forward. We are continuing through this new model and access to curriculum to strengthen Tier 1 instruction so that every student has high quality standard aligned instruction every single day. Our current MTSS framework, we are using real-time data to identify gaps early, and with this partnership as early as 6 weeks old, and respond with targeted interventions and not waiting for a student to fall behind. We recognize that barriers to learning don't stop at the classroom door. Our wraparound supports in partnership with LIFT allow us to address mental health, housing, and access to care so we can fully engage in learning. This is not a one-size-fits-all model. This is a system designed to ensure that every student at Orange Center Elementary grows.
So in order to do that, we have to put in proper structures for sustainability and long-term success. And one of the ways in which we're doing that is something I'm really proud of is this governance structure. We know that we had to move very quickly to put in place the right kinds of structures to move this work forward, but this is the founding board for Neighborhood Schools Initiative, NSI. This is not the permanent board. So we will be moving forward and putting into place permanent long-term board members, but we wanted to make sure we had expertise that allows us to do the necessary work to transition the organization into the future. You can see here Scott Boyd is the board chair, Allison Kirby, our treasurer, serving as secretary. We will be transitioning a couple of those board members to move to a permanent structure in the future, and that process is happening as we speak. One of the things we're committed to is ensuring that the individuals we bring on are committed to the mission of NSI, they're committed to the partnership with OCPS, they're committed to the community work, and they're committed to ensure that there is representation and diversity on the governing board as well as the advisory committee. And as we look at the transition into the permanent board members, these are the things that we'll be highlighting as important aspects of that recruitment process for those new board members. So staffing and development is obviously an important piece of this. We are really excited about the number of teachers who have expressed an interest. Some of them are here. And we know this is a major decision for them. We walk into a room and we say, we're going to do all these great things. And it's sort of like, well, show me, don't tell me, right? So it's important that we live up to those commitments. And one of the things we wanted to send a clear message is that we value you and your work, and that's going to show up in the compensation package. And so there is an increased compensation based on where they currently are. There are other opportunities for compensation in the form of incentive pay, as well as signing bonuses for the teachers. So we wanted to make sure that we're really competitive and sending a signal to the teachers that they matter, and we are going to lean on them, quite frankly, in this journey. Benefits are going to be comparable to what they are receiving currently. We also have gotten offer letters out, and we want to make sure that there's strong alignment with the vision of the school. Culture is incredibly important. That's what we heard over and over again from the team at Orange Center is how do we maintain and preserve the culture of the school, and that is obviously tied to the people and the processes that are in place. So that drives our recruitment strategy. Principal Albert, along with members of the LIFT team, Lynn Thompson, who is a former OCPS principal, are driving that effort around recruitment. So we have knowledgeable educators who are involved in that process. And then, as Aaron indicated, we're going to continue to invest in the development of our teachers on an ongoing basis. Some of them were fortunate to fly up to Atlanta recently and visit our sister school, Drew Academy. Some of you had the opportunity to visit Drew, and there are plans to bring another group of teachers up to Drew later this year. So again, we have great national partners who are willing to come alongside of us and make sure that there's transferable learning and knowledge that are coming back to Orlando to these teachers. So we know that there's a financial piece of this that we have to acknowledge, right, and understand. And the financials are significant, right? There is an operating gap that we acknowledge that you'll see in the application, and there's a commitment by Lift Orlando and our funders to address that operating gap and commit to funding that in the startup phase and on an ongoing basis for the school. But our goal is to ultimately get to a place of long-term sustainability. These things around these key cost drivers, such as compensation and teacher development and expanding systems, all those things will remain in place as we move to a more sustainable model. So we'll look at phase-in enrollment growth, as Aaron indicated. We don't want to take on too much too soon, all right? So it's got about quality and make sure we have the right systems in place. The board will continue to manage financial oversight of the organization, and we will continue to layer philanthropic dollars on top of public support, not just to sort of keep the lights on and close an operating gap, but also to do more. That's the goal. We want to be able to use those philanthropic dollars to do more and invest in a great school. So this doesn't happen without partnership, and so we see this as a collaborative effort with the school district, and we're excited about that and defining what those roles look like. So from the NSI perspective, that's the school leadership and the operations of the school, and then implementing the academic model that Aaron talked about, and obviously daily operations. From OCPS, the continued role as a charter sponsor, but great oversight and transparency is incredibly important in making sure that we are addressing areas around compliance and reporting. We are excited about the opportunity around facility expansion and what that could look like with the physical representation of the school on the campus. And there are going to be shared activities around community engagement and then ultimately documentation and sharing of the learning that comes out of this process, because we see the ability with this partnership to influence other districts in the county, but also more broadly across the state and even nationally with some of our national partners who are coming alongside of us who are very interested in this partnership. So I mentioned we are not doing this alone. We have experienced partners. Lift Orlando is a community place-based development organization. We do acknowledge we don't have expertise in certain areas, and education is one of those areas we don't have expertise in. But what we do have expertise in is bringing together folks who do and leveraging those resources. And you can see some of the folks that are on this list. Transcend is an incredible educational design partner that is doing great work and really centering community in terms of this process. We've heard from Harlem Children's Zone and Purpose Built Community. Some our folks are here from Purpose Built that are alongside of us. We have great legal counsel in this journey, and then building in the back-end support team as well. So again, it's going to take a village to make this happen, but it's also going to take real effort from skilled and experienced partners who bring their expertise to this process.
So as we look ahead, we truly are looking community-based first. I want to talk a little bit about the design process we're going through with teachers and community. We are truly able to create everything from a mission and a vision down to what we want classrooms to look like based off what the parents, the students, and the teachers want. A teacher shared with me this morning that she's never had so much say in what's happening in her classroom and what's to come for her students. And I'm very excited to take this next step, and I want to thank each of you. I just ask you to think back to maybe your trip to Harlem Children's Zone or Drew Charter, if you've had the opportunity to go, and just think about the potential we saw in those four walls and the potential that Orange Center has to become with this partnership. So thank you for your consideration, and we know we can't do this alone, but we have some amazing partners, you all included in this process, so thank you.
That's it?
Now the fun part.
Okay.
Just a few clarifying questions from the application, and then anyone can answer. So you did talk about, how long you've been working with Orange Center, Lift and Orange Center have been working together, but how did that partnership start?
So that partnership started more than a decade ago, and Lift communities of Westlakes for about 12 years. A key part of our work is centered around 4 strategic pillars: education, cradle to career education, health and wellness, economic viability, and mixed income housing. The relationship with Orange Center particularly has also been a key part of our work in that community. And so that's where it sort of began, and it evolved over time, quite frankly. We saw different leadership changes at the school. We have great success with certain leaders, and other times we're seeing some drop-off, but our intention has been to really have a sustained approach. And that is that conversation that took place in Boston, right? How do we come together and figure out collectively in a formalized partnership that allows us to do and invest in the foundation of the partnership long term? And that has been somewhat that sort of shaped where we are today.
Okay.
So.
The application states that Neighborhood Schools Initiative, Inc. was intentionally established to enhance and refine the existing supports and programming available to the students in the local community, with Orange Center as the center for student learning and growth. What do you mean by that?
So one of the things that was incredibly important is parent voice and parent agency in this process, right? And so the establishment of NSI was centered around that premise, right? To ensure that we were doing this based on what the parents desire. And the opportunity for us to enhance programmatically allows us to think about all the, so what I call the 80% of the things that happen outside of the classroom in a child's life, right? And how our work can serve in a complementary way to help teachers not to have to wear so many hats. And this allows us to sort of layer on programmatically and enhance that learning experience, but deal with the stabilization of the community and the family in a very coordinated and clear way.
Dr. Scott, if I could just add to that, I think it's also important that when we talk about being the center of this partnership, that also means in the neighborhood to other OCPS schools. Our goal is truly to become a resource hub to where once we have programs or systems, instructions, structures, or professional development that works, that we share it with the other schools in 32805 and allow Rock Lake and Washington Shores and other schools in our footprint to benefit from the same benefit that the teachers and staff and students of Orange Center will.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's Dr. Scott, that's an important part of this collaboration, is not to be competitive, right? To really be a center for learning and innovation that benefits the entire neighborhood and the feeder system into Jones High School.
The application speaks to having a required parent liaison to provide parent access and to information and to resolve parental issues. Talk about how you intend to involve parents within the school.
So we intend to involve parents in all aspects of the school, including the governance of NSI at the board level as well as the advisory level as well. So there is a governing board of 7, there will be an advisory committee of 12, and there will be parent representation at those levels, so at the advisory and the decision-making level. In addition, we have formed a parent task force that is currently active and engaged in this process and provides great insight into the work that we're doing currently. And we also have your standard PTA and things of that nature. So these are some of the things that are already in place and what we will be implementing at a governance level to ensure that parent voice and parent agency remains part of this process.
Okay. And just to piggyback on that last question, you mentioned the advisory committee. What will their role be?
So their advisory committee would be supporting the school through advising on education, design matters, experiences for parents at the school, making sure that they are engaged in collecting that insight. But they're going to be a resource to ensure that the right kinds of information and insight are flowing back to the governance structure to make sure that that is happening on a consistent basis. There's a plan to have regular meetings where parents will be engaged in the advisory committee, but we also will really lean on the continued efforts around the task force. So that's going to also be an important place for us to get that feedback.
Okay, thank you. And last question. Could you tell us what your work is going to be like with the Harlem Children's Zone and purpose-built communities?
Awesome. Aaron, you feel free to jump in on the Harlem Chill Zone. You want to take that?
Absolutely. So I think what was most important, I'm going to go back to quoting one of my teachers. She said, I love Harlem Children's Zone and I love Drew Charter, but I want to make it Orange Center. So I think it's important that these are continued resources for us. That we are not trying to copy or copy paste or mimic these. We are trying to build off of these resources. I think the other huge advantage to our partners is they are truly a phone call away. And when we get to a part of our day or this vision or this design plan, we are able to pick up the phone and say, when you were here, talk to me about what you did here. How did you handle this with the community or the parents? Or how did you implement this in your school? What didn't work for you? We now have purpose-built communities and Drew Charter. We already have teachers talking back and forth. And we have the director of early learning talking to our VPK teachers. So the relationship has already started and the bonds have already been made. So they feel like they have someone to reach out to that's been through this.
And I also want to be clear, they're not going to play a role on the governance level or the operations of the school. They are here for technical assistance and providing transferable knowledge and experiences to help us implement what works for Orange Center. So.
Well, thank you all for your presentation and for answering the questions, and I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Williams.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Scott. All right. Member Front, you're recognized.
Thank you. Okay, thank you guys so much for being here. First of all, this is one of the best partnerships that I think we have done in my time that I've been on the board. Watching this all play out, the heart and passion that Lift Orlando has for the community. To me, it's like you walked into a community, saw that there was a need, just multiple needs, right? And saw that the schools were struggling in the sense that we want to provide. We see that there's, if a child comes in, and I was actually at a store the other day at Costco. And a young boy, 11 years old, walks up to me, says, my grandpa and I are washing windows today. Can I wash your window? Do you have $5? And my little 11-year-old was with me. And he looked at that boy. And when we walked away, he goes, wow, I thought that just happened in El Salvador where we do missions work. And I said, no, those things happen all over. And so, I had the opportunity to talk with them, but I thought to myself, okay, when that little boy walks into school on Monday, he's not just thinking about reading and writing and doing math. He's thinking about how are we going to get food on the table? His worry that day was how are we paying rent to stay at the hotel? And that's where when I see the work that you're doing, it really lifts a burden off of our shoulders as schools, because our goal is to help them get the best education possible. And your goal is to make sure that they can focus on that. And I feel like we could sit here all day talking about how amazing you guys are. And really, it's just the partnership is awesome. Thank you for the questions, Dr. Scott. Those were great questions. I really had that, the last question about the Harlem Children's Zone and how that all works. So knowing that, really for me, I think the Lift Orlando, the Orange Center, giving it its own stamp, where people now are traveling to Orlando and Orange County to see what are you guys doing? How did you do this? How did you make this work? And to think that the public schools were in partnership with you. So this isn't just we're taking kids away or we're trying to, cut ties and however you feel about school choice. To me, this is about educating our kids. So no matter where they go to school, it's about making sure that they're getting the best education. Just a few things just to say, quality before scale.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. That was going to be actually a question that I had, but you answered it there. But just that quality before scale, just making sure that you are focused on that, the quality every day, and making sure that they are getting what they need before just blowing it up and getting huge, but then you're struggling to kind of make ends meet at the end. Team focus is amazing. Problem solvers, love it. Strong tier 1 instruction, and I know you have a great partnership also with Reed Charitable, and I know that is we've seen it work time and time again. And when you're focused on that, I'm seeing that in schools right now in District 3, but when the schools are really focused on that, you're going to see a huge transformation. I'm excited personally to see this school and the progress that you've made in the next year, 2, 3 years, and see the transformation. And then just to say thank you for your out-of-the-box thinking. Thank you for that.
you. Thank you,
Because
Member
we're in a
Frye.
time right now where we
We need
can't
it.
just keep doing the same old, and hope for different results. So thank you for that. And I support this 100%.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Farrar.
Thank you, Member Front. Member Van Ness.
Thank you, Member Gallo. I just want to start off by saying what a breath of fresh air it is to have a charter application before us that is well-researched, that actually has considered educational policy, that has asked the community and the district what is needed and what is wanted before just coming in and deciding to set up shop. So thank you for being competent. And thank you for just the application that you submitted.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that. And I, specifically, again, just really appreciate you reaching out to the parents, having the town halls and the meetings, but also making sure that you're incorporating parents into your governance. I think that's amazing. And I appreciate that you are focused on teachers and thinking about how you can relieve burdens for them to allow them to be even more effective with what they're doing. And, hopefully we can, learn from some of the things that you're doing. And I also appreciate that you consider yourself to be an innovation lab that will help. That sounded very Midwest to me, lab. That is looking to, provide kind of those examples for other schools in the neighborhood. So I really, really appreciate that. And I also, again, just looking at the board of NSI, I'm happy to see the addition of Ms. Kirby on there because she has provided such a great example of a charter school that meets an unmet need.
Yes.
And does something that OCPS can use help with. So I appreciate that thought process there. So very excited to know that she's part of that. One question that I did have is, and I think this was, you spoke about the students that are in the zip code and in the footprint will have priority.
Yes.
And I just want to, so one of the questions that has been, raised to me by not me, someone else, is just, making sure that charter school, isn't cherry picking its students.
Yes.
So just want to make sure that as we move forward, that will continue to be your priority and that you won't be doing that.
Absolutely.
Essentially.
Yeah. We've had conversations with, and Aaron, you could speak a little bit to the neighboring school principals, right? We want to be really sensitive about that. We're not cherry picking students, that we are following a matrix of decision making around student enrollment with a focus on the current students at Orange Center, their siblings, employees at the school, footprint within LIFT, and then 32805. And that's how we're going to sort of look at opportunities for students' enrollment at the school. But we also are mindful about how not to or to avoid being perceived as just picking the best students. And I think that's really important that we maintain that. So.
And I think the systems and structures we are putting in place, or along with the resources, are going to help the students with maybe those academic difficulties or behavioral difficulties. We're not just saying, hey, this isn't for you, you need to go. We are actually creating the resources to eliminate any barriers to truly help the child.
Yeah.
And then we'll be able to give the child what they need, whether that's ABA therapy or what the parent needs. I think that's another piece that maybe we need to speak to is we are educating our parents on how to educate their children. And when we provide them with the resources and we're able to give the student what they need, our goal is to give them more resources, not remove them from the school.
Got it. I'm very, very happy to hear that. So thank you to make sure that everybody gets what they need. Also loved how you are focused on that prevention piece, is like, because you have that early learning, in sort of the that same area, that you can kind of identify what a student may need at 6 weeks or 6 months or a year, which then helps them when they get into school. So I think that's a really big, huge piece of it too.
Huge.
Okay, I think I actually only have one more question. And so I read on page 3 of the application that you are developing an anti-discrimination policy, and it says that the school's admission process will not discriminate against any student on the basis of race, ethnicity, national origin, gender, disability, or marital status. And I just wanted to compare that to what OCPS's policy is. And it says School Board of Orange County, Florida does not discriminate in admission or access to or treatment or employment in its programs and activities on the basis of race, color, religion, age, sex, national origin, marital status, disability, genetic information, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, or any other reason prohibited by law. So I'm just curious if you would consider mirroring the policy with OCPS as you develop it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. And then, just the last thing is I do look forward to also working with LIFT and with you all at the legislature to advocate for funding for all of our public schools.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that.
Thank
Member
you.
Vanos, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Member Vanos. Member Felder, you're up.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. This has been a very interesting journey, especially for me. This picture, I think I want this picture framed and put in my office or put somewhere of these children. It's just so defining of hope and an answer. I got a phone call yesterday from a Jones High School graduate of 1972, and he told me about an article that he found in his mother's junk from the Sentinel wrote in 1995, outlining all of the successful people, graduates of Jones from the 30s or 40s. It just kind of highlighted. And Orange Center, of course, is a feeder school. I had to find out later on they were called the Baby Tigers. I said, what's your mascot? And Aaron would say, Baby Tigers. I say, Tigers. I said, okay. And when I look at the work, the long time work that LIFT has been doing when they came into the 32805 community where I proudly live, I'm excited about the control, the trajectory that we're going to set. We went to Harlem Kid Zone, and some of us went to Drew, but this is Orlando. This is the City Beautiful. This is beautiful Washington Shores. I'm so excited about, first of all, the love and the interest that has been shown from people who did not grow up in my community, who are not from Orlando, who are not living here. Allison Kirby had a wonderful opportunity to be the principal at Jones. She got a good feel of the alumni and the community. And she worked and did, what she did. She, and she's still within this community. So obviously there is a love and a care. Plus she's married to my old church member's son, so that's a plus with it. But the fact that what LIFT is trying to do and the boldness of OCPS to say, okay, this is what you want to do? Let me see, work this out. Let me see how this is going to work out. Because we have issues with charter. And what my board member Vano said was so apropos. The fact you're just not coming in planting the ground, but you are seeking for a real partnership. I get calls on a daily basis about Orange Center being changed in charter, and what are you doing about it? And I let them get all that out of their system. Then I say, are you ready to listen to what I have to say? Then I begin to tell them, I say, you don't understand, I know that sounds cliche, but we are really doing it. We are reimagining what charter is and what we're going to do. Because as Member Farrant said, the bottom line is the education of the students. The best educational experience for them and their parents. And it's my hope that the governing board that you have will work very closly with the advisory board, the parents, and of course I'm on one of them boards, that we work in sync, that there's nobody in control over anybody. That's how you reimagine the relationship. That we work in sync, because the bottom line, when I was looking at that article, I got a glimpse of that article that the Sentinel wrote in 1995. Most of those people are dead. Some of them are still living. I'm saying they went that far to try to talk about the potentiality that's found. And it could be found in other places, but I live in the 32805 district, and this is why I was raised in 32805. And it just makes me feel good that we're still clinging on to a promise that we can create and train successful children to successful adults. That I tell this to my students, I tell them to them every day, the first day of school, every year that I talk. Don't let your environment declare your destiny. You have to control that. And I think what we're doing with this particular partnership with Lifton, Orange Center, and Charter, and OCPS, we are going to do that. And I believe with some of the other board members believe that people will come to Orlando, to Orange County, and say, what are you doing? How did you do that? How's this working? I'm so excited because, I used to tell people all the time, what looks like the end could very well be the beginning. And so I look forward to the work. It is not going to be easy. As John and I talked about it, this is not a hurry up and get done thing. Some of us hopefully will be living, but some of us may not, but it's a process. And I hope that we're up for the process because it's going to take process. But I'm just excited that people are wanting to be a part of the process. And I'm so proud of this board. We don't always agree on everything, but the intellectual capacity of the people on this board is expected. It's amazing. And I'm excited. I'm happy that this is what I'm working with, down from the superintendent or deputy superintendents, the cabinet. I think we got something good going on OCPS. I'm telling you, we do. Every day I'm amazed at things that our schools are doing and what our students are doing, and that we have embraced this beast, and we're going to tame it, called charter. We're going to tame it, and we're going to direct it and say, this is how it's supposed to go, and this is the thing, this is how it works. And this whole idea with neighborhood, purpose-built communities, that whole thing, that is phenomenal, that we have that kind of involvement. So you'll be hearing more from me. I'll probably say some other things, and some come up, I'm upset, I'll tell Bridget first, and I'll tell Maria, then I call you, Mark, and I'll fuss and say. But I just want to let you know that I'm very excited in the work of Kia and Greg Moody and what they do with Charter. I'm just so excited about OCPS that I'm on the board when this is happening. That I'm on the board when this is happening. So I just thank you so much. And again, understand and realize process cannot be done in a hurry. Took us 150 years to get public schools where it is tonight, and we still got some issues. 150 years. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, Member Felder. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Felder. Member Douglas.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I just want to say that going to so many events, amazing. So I just want to say I really enjoy your presentation. Really, it was very captivating. And I specifically like your goals, your mission and your vision to educate all kids and bring parents also to be part of their student education. I think that's a plus. Just like you said, we're building a village, and we all have to incorporate all stakeholders, and that's wonderful. And what I like also, you are not only educating kids, you are also building communities, which is absolutely amazing. If you have not gone to 32805, just go and visit. You know, I used to teach at Washington Shores Elementary, and I used to pass by every time to go home, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so bad. Let me get out of here quick. But now I'm like, you know what? Maybe I can live here somewhere. It's just amazing. Now, my question is, do you have any other charter schools that reach out to you and want to have a similar vision to what you're doing right now? Or is that something new? Or?
That hasn't happened. There might have been one or two inquiry months ago, but we have really been focused on this work. As Board Member Felder said, this is a process.
This is a process.
It is going to require a tremendous focus to deliver on the promises that we've made in this partnership, and to the parents and to this community. And that is where we are centering our energy and our resources. And quite frankly, we don't have a story to tell yet, right? And so we got to do the work. And we don't want to get distracted, because this is what's important. To Member Vanis's point, we need to make sure we have information and experiences that can be captured, that can help influence policy and things that are important more broadly, and we want to get this right, and that is our commitment to get this right. So,
you know, I disagree with you when you said you don't have a story yet. that is a story in itself, and it's a story that took 10 years to be built. And what you have done, I'm telling you, it's just absolutely amazing.
Thank you, Member
I won't say more, but I just love what Member Felder just said. Don't let your environment dictate your destiny. And a lot of our kids, and that's what we try to drill into their mind, that they can be way better than where they live. And thank you so much. You're very fortunate, 328. Okay.
thank you. Thank you, Member Douglas.
Thank you, Member Douglas. Okay, so I'm up next, and then after me is Member Salamanca, and then I think we'll be wrapping up the discussion. I just want to say thank you for all that you've done for the 32805 community. I've had the pleasure of going to some of the meetings and some of the events, and it's just phenomenal what you guys have been able to accomplish. And so we appreciate you coming into our community. We appreciate the time, talent, and dollars that you put into Orange Center, and I am looking forward to the success of that school, to growing the school, and to see that all that you can accomplish in the future. I do have just a couple of questions. How many, so you said that the letters to the teachers are just going out. Have you got a commitment from how many teachers will be staying, or how many will want to go to another Orange County public school?
So we have about 80% plus of staff staying. Their offer letters went out, and then instructional contracts just went out this week as well, and classified will follow tomorrow. But the teachers are very excited.
Awesome.
It too has been a process for them of understanding.
Right, because there's changes from going from an OCPS to a charter,
And we have some staff members who have been with OCPS for 25 plus years. So they are excited about the vision and the mission, and they are ready to do the work. So 80% plus.
That's phenomenal. That's such good news. And then on the 32 parents that were opposed, did you reach out to them or talk to them just to understand what their hesitation was in converting to a charter school?
We did not have the ability, because we did not know.
It was anonymous?
It was anonymous, so we did not have the ability to contact anyone, whether you voted for or against. So
has any parent discussed with you what their concern was about converting to a charter?
The handful of parents that I spoke to, it was a lack of understanding. So now I think parents sometimes see flyers and advertisement for things like Education Forum and feel like it's not the space for them. But we're now educating the parents that this is your space, this is where you're doing the work, and it's okay if you don't have something to say right away, or you don't have an opinion or something to change or add, but just being in the space is something that's huge. So now we're seeing those education forums grow rapidly, and the parents have lots of input and opinions now on what they want to see.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, I did get to go visit the Drew Charter, and it's just phenomenal what a purpose-built community can do and what it did for that community. I think people all over Atlanta are trying to get into Drew Charter School, even out of private schools. So that's a testament to how well they do what they do. So I'm just super excited. I think this is going to be a great partnership. I can't wait to see how successful you all are, and then to imitate it where we can. And I'm sure that as you guys go further, this is going to be the talk of Tallahassee, because this is the first time that we're doing this in Florida. And I love that it's happening in Orange County, Florida. I really do.
Yeah,
I love that it's happening here and it's happening in this community. So thank you both for everything. And I'm super supportive. I've always has been. And if you ever need my help in anything, let me know. I don't know how I can be helpful, but I'm happy to help if I can.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Gallo. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. And now we're going to call on Member Salamanca.
Thank you, Member Gal. I also wanted just to thank you all so much for how collaborative this whole process has been with the community, with the school board, for giving us the opportunity to visit, to meet all those in the community who are part of this process. I echo a lot of what was said here. I think when we visited the Harlem Zone and visited Atlanta, it was so clear that this is a model that is innovating, creating a space for places where we know that we are thin on resources and teacher time. And I'm just so excited to see how this works out, all the things and lessons that we learn, and really appreciate the transparency. I think you're going into this with the humility that this takes time, and it's hard, as we know, in public education, because there's so many things to address. But we're in this journey with you, and just really excited to learn together from this model, because it really is the first time we're doing this here in Florida, and I think you are all the right mindset and people to do this. So very grateful for the chance to see this through.
So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Member Salamanca. All right, that is all of the input we have from the board. Thank you so much for being here today and for the presentation.
All right. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank
Have
you.
a great afternoon. Thank you.
All right, so 4.02 was withdrawn, the charter application for Achieve Point Virtual Academy North. So we'll be visiting that at another work session. So up next is the rezoning 2026. It's a targeted rezoning. Dr. Williams, you are recognized.
Thank you. Once again, this is the Greg Moody Show. So we have Greg Moody. Greg, you doing?
Just old
got 'em
age. I
working
heard my
today.
name,
We
so
got
I
you
jumped
working
up
today, Greg.
and hurt my back. So before you will be our members of student enrollment. Ms. Stacy Neal, Senior Director of Student Enrollment, will walk us through a few targeted rezonings today. Stacy Neal.
Good afternoon, board members, Chair Gallo, Dr. Williams, and any other OCPS members that are listening or out in the audience. Today, we are going to do a targeted rezoning for Kelly Park, Orange Center, and Zellwood. First, I'd like to go over the rezoning process. School Board Policy JC We have the superintendent who commences rezoning. Timeline is developed. We meet with principals, executive leaders, school board members. Research and data is then collected. We have our community meeting, rule development workshop, public hearing, and we keep the rezoning notebook. A review of our rezoning timeline. A community meeting was held on March 23rd. We're at the work session today. A rule development workshop will be held on April 28th, and the school board public hearing is set for May 12th. This rezoning process applies whether we rezone a new school, a neighborhood, vacant land, or a school consolidation. To describe the scope of the rezoning, we use the terms technical, targeted, relief school, or school consolidation. For a technical rezoning, there are no students involved. The area to be moved is uninhabited land. For a targeted rezoning, only selected areas are recommended to be moved, and there is usually a small group of students involved. A relief school rezoning, when a new school is opening and it affects a large number of students. School consolidation closes underutilized sites and it affects large number of students. You can follow each step of the rezoning on our website. Under the school tab, you will click on school rezoning. From there, we'll take you to the rezoning currently in the works page, where you will find the rezoning timeline, today's presentation, maps, data, and survey links. We will begin with a targeted rezoning to Kelly Park School Zone, including the Winding Meadows and West Ridge Park subdivisions. Since Kelly Park School is a K-8, this rezoning will also affect Wolf Lake Middle School. Let me orient you to the map. The green boundary lines show the current middle school zones, and the proposed new zones are solid colors. Kelly Park School is green, and Wolf Lake Middle School is shown in purple. A zoomed-in view of the neighborhood and land adjacent to be moved. There are 16 students residing and attending Wolf Lake Middle School, recommended to be rezoned to Kelly Park School. The next slide is elementary. Let me orient you to this map. The red lines show the current elementary school boundary. The green area represents the proposed Kelly Park School Zone. The purple area represents the proposed Wolf Lake Elementary School. The brown area represents the proposed Zellwood Elementary School Zone. The hash lines show the areas to be moved to a new zone. Currently, the Winding Meadows neighborhood is split between Kelly Park School and Wolf Lake Elementary. Under the proposed rezoning, the entire neighborhood will be placed within the Kelly Park School Zone. Here's a zoomed-in view showing Winding Meadows. It's in yellow. It's currently split, once again, between Kelly Park School and Wolf Lake Elementary. This map highlights the area of West Ridge Park subdivision to be moved from Zellwood Elementary Zone to the Wolf Lake Elementary School Zone. Currently, there are 50 students residing and attending. There's a side note. Distance to Wolf Lake Elementary is under 2 miles, and this would eliminate a bus. This slide displays the demographic breakdown for each school, both before and after the rezoning. The first column shows the name of the school involved in the rezoning with the school's Florida Inventory of Schoolhouses Capacity, also known as FISH. FISH capacity refers to the official number of students a school is designated to accommodate as determined by the state. This figure is maintained by district staff in the Florida Inventory of Schoolhouses, a comprehensive database that includes every room in all district-owned schools. For example, Kelly Park School's FISH capacity is 1,248. The next column displays student enrollment from February 2nd, 2026, with a percentage breakdown for race as white, black, and other, and ethnicity as non-Hispanic and Hispanic. For Kelly Park School, 1,080 enrollment, there was 65% white, 23% black, and 12% other, 69% non-Hispanic, and 27% Hispanic. The third column displays the current number of students residing in each zone. There are 911 students residing in Kelly Park School Zone. The next column shows how many students will be residing in each zone if this rezoning takes place. Kelly Park School would have 989 students with 63% white, 23% black, 13% other, 66% non-Hispanic, and 34% Hispanic. The final number represents a projected number of students attending for the 2026-27 school year. Kelly Park School is projected for between 1,140 to 1,160 students. The next column is farms, which stands for free and reduced meals. The current percentage for Kelly Park School is 32% and proposed is 30%. ESE, Exceptional Student Education, is 15% current, 15% proposed. ELL, English Language Learners, is 7% current and 8% proposed. I'll give you a moment to review the numbers for each school. If approved, this rezoning will commence in August 2026. We've also provided the projections for the impacted schools. The top area is as status quo. The below area is Winding Meadows, West Ridge Park, the targeted rezoning, should it go into effect. We have 3 ways for families to provide their input on a rezoning. Online survey form, petitions, and email are currently available. A few important guidelines: all input must be submitted by April 14th at 7:30 a.m. for school board review before the April 28th Rule Development Workshop. Input must include name and address. 1 submission per household will be counted. Duplicate submissions will be excluded from the totals. Additional opportunities to provide input will be available after the Rule Development Workshop and before the public hearing. All feedback will be shared with school board members at the April 28th and May 12th meetings. This concludes the presentation for Wolf Lake Middle School, Elementary, and Zellwood Elementary. Dr. Williams.
Thank you, and I believe the board member.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Williams. So first up, we have Member Byrd on the line. Member Byrd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Real quick, can we go back to the Zellwood numbers, the projection numbers? I just had a quick question. We have a current enrollment of 653, and the enrollment that's currently in the neighborhood that you're going to rezone, you said was about 50 students, but you're still projecting the enrollment to grow next year up to 680 to 700. I read that correctly, right?
Yes.
Even with moving those 50?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. And this has not opened up yet to community for any survey results?
It has, and we have received how many? 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 responses from families and 4 support, only 1 oppose.
Okay, and we don't know why there was the opposition?
They want to stay in Zellwood, and with the grandfather transfer, they would be allowed to remain at Zellwood.
Right. Okay. Great. I am in full support of both of these. I think they're great choices.
Okay, thank you, Member Byrd. Member Vanos.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just two questions. I saw that it looks like enrollment will increase for all of these schools by about 1,000 for next year. I was just wondering, this is not my district, so just curious, what is accounting for that increase?
There's growth. There's a subdivision that's being developed. Tommy's not with me, so right now I can't remember the name. I want to say Wild Oaks. That's coming. So there is a lot of growth in Apopka. Apopka is exploding.
Okay, thank you. And then my last question was, I noticed for, I think it's Wolf Lake Middle and Zellwood, that they appear to be pretty significantly above fish capacity in the next few years.
Yes, and we are addressing a lot of that growth in advanced planning for future possible schools.
Okay, so there could be another potential school in that area.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you, Member Vanos. That's all the speakers we have today. Do we just need consensus to move forward? What do you need from the board? Turn your mic
I
on.
apologize, my mic was not on. Consensus to move forward based on the recommendation from Greg Moody's team.
Awesome. Do we have consensus to move forward? Yes. Okay, you have consensus. Thank you.
So we will now present the rezoning to distribute the Orange Center attendance zone to nearby schools. Orange Center is converting to a charter school. As a result, students currently zoned for Orange Center who do not wish to attend a charter school will need to be reassigned to another Orange County school, requiring the establishment of a new attendance zone for the area. This map shows the current elementary school zone boundaries outlined in red. The proposed zones are shown in solid colors: Catalina in orange, Rock Lake in green, Washington Shores. This area represents the 2026-27 school zone in purple. Here's a zoomed-in view of the area moving students from Orange Center to Catalina. There are 50 students residing and attending Orange Center recommended to be rezoned. Zoomed-in area moving students from Orange Center to Rock Lake. And no, this is not an area error. There are 50 students residing and attending in this area recommended to be rezoned. Zoomed in area moving students from Orange Center to Washington Shores. There are 113 students residing and attending Orange Center recommended to be rezoned. Side note, distance to all schools with this rezoning is under 2 miles. This slide displays the demographic breakdown for each of the schools, both before and after the rezoning. The first column shows the name of the school involved and in the rezoning with the school's fish. And I'll give everyone a moment to review. If approved, this rezoning will commence August 2026. We've also provided the projections for the impacted schools. We have 3 ways for families to provide input on this rezoning: online survey, petitions, email. All input must be submitted by April 14th at 7:30 a.m. for school board review. Only one submission per household will be counted. Duplicate submissions will be excluded from the totals, and additional opportunities to provide input will be available after the rule development workshop and before the public hearing. All feedback will be shared with school board members at the April 28th and May 12th meetings. This concludes our presentation. We appreciate your participation and encourage you to share your thoughts and questions. Dr. Williams.
Thank you. I want to make sure I'm correct. This is just for those students that choose not to attend Orange Center, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Make sure that's.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Williams. That was my question. I'm actually first up. So the 50 that you mentioned that reside there, there's no indication that they won't continue to go to Orange Center, correct?
Correct. We do not anticipate it's 213 plus students leaving Orange Center. However, in the eventuality, there needs to be a zone created for anyone.
Yeah, no, I understand. Thank you. And then I have one other question about the projections, and I think I know the answer to this, but right now, this school year, Washington Shores is sitting at 269, and then next year we have them going up to 560. That's not because of the Orange Center, that's because of the other rezonings that we did earlier in March, correct?
That was from the Eccleston's consolidation.
Okay, because we only have Catalina and the other schools going up with a very small increment.
Correct, yes.
All right, thank you. Those were my questions. Member Felder, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I think that the concerns I had, you just addressed them. But, because I think even talking to Ms. Neal, we have to put something in place in the event students do not want to attend Orange Center, but we have not had that, which is good. And I sort of anticipated that they were going to want to stay, but we still need to put something in place, so I'm glad about that. That was all. Thanks.
Thank you, Member Felder. Member Front.
Thank you. My question is really the same. However, as far as parents being notified about the new attendance zones, how are we notifying parents? Is this something that the school notifies them? Do we notify them? I just don't want there to be a confusion where parents all of a sudden are going, no, do we have to change or not? I just want it to be very clear.
So per policy and our procedures, we always notify families who are being affected by any rezoning, either receiving the students at their schools or they're actually the families being moved. So we notify them, Connect Orange, email, always newspaper.
Yes, go ahead.
But I think to your point is the clear communication about it is an option, right? So parents, as indicated by the vote, a majority of the parents want to stay. So we'll look at craft and language in some of our Connect Orange messages that clearly say, in the event that you choose or something. I'll let the communication experts deal with that message, and I'll work with Bridget and Lyft and the school. I get your point, yeah. So we don't want to confuse people. Like, am I going or am I staying?
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I
That's a good
appreciate
point.
it. Because like you said, the majority of parents want to stay.
Right.
But for the few that may not want to, or maybe somebody's coming in from now just moving in, something like that, I just want them to know that they don't have to move.
Mm-hmm.
But in the event that they do, just clear messaging. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Student enrollment's messaging is consistent per policy, but we can send some additional information as well. So I'll work with staff on that. Great point. Yep.
Thank you, Member Front. Am I the only one that thought of should I stay or should I go song? Was I the only person that popped in my brain? See, I knew John would have me.
I'm here all day.
Thank you so much. That's all the questions and comments we have. So I believe you have consensus to move forward.
Thank you.
All right, you have consensus. We are good. Thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
We have one more item to come before the board today. It is FEA, Educational Adequacy and Construction Specifications for New and Renovated Facilities. Dr. Williams, you are recognized.
At that point, our one and only John Pomerini will present. John, are you ready?
Mr.
General
Pomerini, you are
Counsel.
recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Deputy Superintendent, members of the board. This policy is coming before you to effectuate a change to align it with what we have been doing the last, I would say, probably 7 to 8 years at this time. So this all centers around Phase 3 construction documents. Phase 3 construction documents essentially are documents that assure that we are following the Florida Building Code, the Florida Engineering Codes, and the Florida Fire Prevention Code. I said in English. Let me try that again. The Florida Fire Prevention Code. And so what was happening is your policy FEA states that the school board was supposed to approve all of these Phase 3 documents. What was occurring is that this was not happening in that order, and what the board was asked to do was to waive the provisions of its policy to allow the superintendent and the chief facilities officer to sign off on those documents rather than the board doing it by policy. So I went back and looked, and you all had been asked to waive the policy 59 times over the span of 7 or 8 years. And so that is not an effective policy if we are being asked to waive it 59 times over a span of 7 to 8 years. So what we were doing with this change is to align the policy to our actual practice. Now, the statute is 1013-37 and 1013-38. And those statutes allow the board employees that are certified, registered as engineers pursuant to Chapter 471, registered as architects pursuant to Chapter 481 of the Florida statutes, and fire safety inspectors certified under 633.216 Florida statutes to sign off on those Phase 3 documents. So the change that we have made, I'm sorry, let me blow this up so I can actually see it. So what it had in the past, can we give me just a second, please? There's a red line here, and I want to make sure we're looking at the red line. So now looking at the red line, Sarah Kopesky in my office has gone through and made some formatting changes. So most of everything you're going to see here is formatting changes until the Section 5, capitalizations and titles, putting in a comma instead of a semicolon, spelling out state requirements for educational facilities, and then saying SREF to say every future references that. The school, reflecting the school board's correct name, spelling out kindergarten through 8th grade, etc. Covered walkways, lower cases, Sarah loves to do that kind of stuff, so that you're going to see all of those technical, non-substantive changes. And now getting down here to Phase 3 plan reviews. So the language states that Phase 3 construction documents shall be approved by, and it used to say the school board. Now we're changing it to say the school board's review agents as authorized under 1013-37 Florida statutes prior to entering into the existence for construction of new school facilities or comprehensive renovation of existing facilities. We have to approve the Phase 3 documents before we let the contract under the statute. So this language aligns with statutory requirements. The authorized review agents pursuant to Section 1013-38, subsection 2 Florida statute shall either be board employees or contracted entities who are registered as engineers under Chapter 471 Florida statutes, architects pursuant to Chapter 481 Florida statutes, and fire safety inspectors certified under Section 633-216 Florida statutes. So we can have either board employees that we hire directly do this work, or we can have contracted entities. As you all know, we outsourced our building code compliance function last year after the Council of Great City Schools recommendation. So we are most likely going to be using contracted staff to do this. So upon execution of those Phase 3 documents by the authorized review agents, notification shall be made to the board via an informational item submitted by the superintendent as part of the board agenda at the next regularly scheduled board meeting after the approval of the Phase 3 construction document. So you will see a superintendent's informational item that has listed, we've approved the Phase 3 construction documents for Insert Your School here, so you know that that has occurred. And if you care to delve into those documents, the superintendent and her staff will make it available. Of course, if you want to go to sleep early because it's a packet this thick, you can go ahead and do that, but it will be available for you all to look at should you choose to look at it. But we thought this change was necessary because we should not be waiving our policy over and over and over again. We should be doing it in conformance with the statute. We should be doing it in conformance, making our policy align with what we actually do to conform with the statute. And then Section 6, once again, just, formatting and, just verbiage changes just to make it look prettier and to make sure it's consistent throughout the policy. And that, Madam Chair, is the changes. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Mr. Palmerini. Do we have any questions for Mr. Palmerini? Member Front.
Thank you. Okay, so mine is not to this exact thing, but to the this whole document, I guess, as I'm reading it. I've just a couple questions about the difference. Do you know the difference between building as like what a public school is required to have in their buildings versus like a charter school that is building a building? I know that from some of my communication with staff, they've said they're like every public school, I believe, is required to be equipped to be a storm shelter. Is that correct?
So there is a document adopted by the state through the State Board of Education called the State Requirements for Educational Facilities, SREF. And it is a comprehensive system of regulations that say all school buildings have to have the certain things. We have to, with respect to storm safety, our buildings have to be rated in order to withstand, hurricanes and that kind of stuff. And they have to also be utilized, be able to be utilized as shelters. Now, the county works out with us, and we have a plan with Orange County about what facilities are going to be utilized for shelters. Mostly it's our high schools because they're much bigger and they're able to handle more people, et cetera. That's all worked out. But SREF dictates how we build buildings. SREF does not apply to charter schools. So charter schools have to follow the Florida Building Code and the Florida Fire Code, but they do not have to have all of the specific items and standards that a traditional public school building has to have under SREF. So as a consequence, for a charter school who's building a facility, it is usually a much cheaper proposition to do so than for a traditional public school to do so.
Yes, no, that's exactly what I'm seeing, because we were trying to build a, which we've stopped because of enrollment, but we were trying to build a facility for $50 million that would be housing a minimal amount of students. And a charter school literally across the street, three-story buildings and a gymnasium for $48 million.
Yeah.
Housing, like increasing their numbers over 1,000. So I've just been like trying to scratch my head here, trying to figure out like why is that, and what can we do to help bring some change to that?
That is a policy choice of the State Board of Education and the state legislature. The state legislature explicitly exempted charter schools from having to comply with SREF. So if the board chooses to say, hey, we think we should have some flexibility in the way that charter schools have, that would be something I would suggest for a legislative platform to going up next year to say, hey, we want some more flexibility when it comes to construction, because construction costs, like a lot of other things, have exponentially increased in the last 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, absolutely. That is one thing. I mean, if we're going to try to be fiscally responsible and really protect the taxpayer money, and people are seeing in this community, for instance, that I'm talking about, they're seeing the charter school going up and the amount that it's taking, and they're going, well, why would we want to invest in public schools if they're using the money like that? And so that's where I think we really do need to be communicating better than, for myself, I need to communicate better than with my reps to make sure that they know and really help them push that through. Thank you for clarifying. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, Member Front. Are there any other questions? All right. Thank you, Mr. Palmerini. There's
And
yes.
we have consensus to move this forward.
Do we have consensus to move it forward? Yes. Member Byrd, Member Salamanca? We have consensus to move it forward.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, we're good. Thank you so much. So thank you to all the board members and staff for your participation today. Finding no further business before us, this meeting is adjourned.